What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Thomas Dolby. And I'd like to start by giving a big shout out to Han Solo, who shared the first couple Dolby albums that we went through, but also to Stan, who sent a Thomas Dolby album, among many other things, a while back. And the album he sent is jumping forward a bit in time, meaning, as far as I could tell looking on Discogs, there may have been a soundtrack album that Dolby did after The Flat Earth, as well as another album that seems to be more or less a straightaway album. And indeed, I'm not even sure if the soundtrack album, as it appeared on Discogs, is a proper soundtrack, or maybe it's like a cheeky way to label an album. In any case, we're jumping ahead to 1992 to Astronauts Heretics, and the version Stan sent has 2 bonus tracks on it in addition to the 9 that are on the record proper. In any case, the first track on the album is I Love You Goodbye, which sounds like a complicated statement. It sounds like a mixture of emotions. I suppose you could just be saying you love someone, but you have to depart for now. But goodbye can also mean I'm done with you, I'm going away, this is the end between us. So to say I love you goodbye, if that rendering of goodbye is more in the direction the song is heading, suggests there's complexity, suggests there's maybe a confliction from the person saying it. So yeah, not sure if it'll be all in the same direction or 2 directions pulling apart, but maybe also, passing through each other or conflicted within the same mind. So I'll see what I can pick up on a first listen. This is Thomas Dolby. The track is I Love You Goodbye, and it's the first tune on his 1992 album, Astronauts Heretics. A bit of reggae keys in there.
I would never normally go bowling on a Friday morning in New Orleans, but I like to come here to remember the kind of places you took me. Like the time we stole a Datsun and drove all night to the Everglades, until we crashed it in a big electric storm and stood there listening to Bayou Rain.
We hear the Everglades. That snare, by the way.
The county sheriff had a ad lib, Louisiana's pride and joy. He said politely as he cuffed me, I never busted an English boy. No, I will accept a contribution to the Opelousas charity ball. But you better drive this dirty Datsun to the Gulf of Mexico. Under a Cajun moon, I lay me open. There is a spirit here that won't be broken. Some words are
I'm stunned. That's a crazy album opener. So maybe it's because I know it's from the early 90s, but part of the like keyboard run, it sounds like 90s to me. Certainly not in a bad way, but like recognizably. Like, you know, when I go through a lot of the 80s synth pop reactions I do, there's moments where a guitar line or indeed a synth line, it's like, man, that just, it screams the 80s as my brain thinks of it musically. Some of that keyboard work there, it really does remind me of something you'd see, or hear rather, in a like early to mid 90s movie montage. But sonically overall, just a really cool and varied assortment of sounds. We have what sounds like a fiddle as distinct from a violin, and that essentially it's like the same instrument, but the way you play it, the way you tune it, can make it sound more like one than the other, with a fiddle being a bit more folksy and a violin more, you know, dressed up and symphonic. So it feels like a lot of the string work is sort of fiddle style and like something you would hear when you go folk dancing. But then there's another string line a bit less prominent, or like beneath the fiddle sound, which sounded like a more proper, if you will, violin. Then we had like a true piano at one point. Ultimately there's those brief but very intense and powerful, almost like cosmic guitar moments. And then ultimately we have this like gospel kind of choir like singing a refrain, and then I think at the end it was Dolby's vocals in the background with a very soulful sound. So put it all together and it sounds like this buffet of instrumentation and sonic stylings. Lyrically, I don't really know what's happening, but it sounds like it's taking place in the American Southeast. It sounds like, you know, under a Cajun moon, he's in the Everglades in Florida, and then he's in the Louisianas. I don't know if you said it plural, but somewhere in Louisiana, and it sounds like he got arrested, and the arresting officer was like, I've never locked up an English boy before. So, I don't know, maybe, and what was the line near the beginning? Something like, going bowling on a Friday morning, because that's somewhere I used to go with you. So, I don't know if it's someone who, like, accompanied him in these places at a certain time, and eventually he has to go home to England. I was even thinking maybe for a moment he was saying I love you goodbye to the areas in the southeast that he had these adventures and experiences in, but I do think maybe there's a reference to another person. Whatever the narrative, it makes me wonder whether it's autobiographical or whether, it's just a vignette of scenes like created for a character for the song. My inclination is to think maybe there's some autobiographical experiences being recounted here, but yes, definitely multiple references and visual elements suggesting the American Southeast. And as I said, I love the folksy meets soulful meets gospel meets 90s reflective montage synthesis sonically. So sonically it was just a really impressive and multifaceted tune. Vocally, I like the work not just from the lead vocal from Dolby, but as I said, that small choir type of sound. And yeah, just an experience. It felt like a long one, maybe like 6 minutes long, something like that. Sorry, Luca. Let me see what we got here. I think don't tell me. It's literally exactly 6 minutes. Well, I don't know if I had that in my bingo card, but I wish I did, because that was a spot-on temporal sense of how long the tune had played out. But yeah, so a longer album opener, an epic. I mean, it wasn't epic in like big and bombastic and intense. The guitar is the closest thing you could say to that, maybe. But it was big in that there was a lot of moving parts. There were a lot of, again, vignettes or sections lyrically and narratively. So just a really cool opener. Once again, shout out to Stan for sending this. When we come back next time, we'll be up to Cruel, which, feels like a very different sort of sentiment, but I suppose if you love something and you have to leave it, that could be an experience that feels cruel, it feels unfair, or you wish you could find some way to maybe go where you have to, but retain the experience, the feeling, the connection that you're saying goodbye to. So yeah, either way, looking forward to this, and again, it's a jump forward in time, so I didn't expect it to sound exactly like the early 80s Dolby stuff, but yeah, that was really interesting and engaging. So let me know what you think, and Luca, at this point, I am going to have to get up. We'll see what you do. Do you want to go in the chair? No, she's going to jump down. Let me know. I will see you next time. Peace.